Come with me. Close your eyes. Imagine that you're walking through a small European village. Areas are cobblestoned in some places, brick walkways in some places, and plain asphalt in some places. Little shops are everywhere on both sides of the road. You see an antique store, a stationery shop, a shop selling linens from France, a bookstore, an antique store, a gentleman's clothier, a candle shop where you can go in and watch the tapers being made, a chemist shop, a shop selling goods from Turkey. If you go in, it smells like sandalwood. Another shop selling items from the Orient. If you go in there, it smells like incense. They sell beautiful sandalwood boxes and incense and jewelry and Buddhas and beautiful tapestries. There's an ice cream parlor, a little shop selling yarn, knitting supplies, crochet supplies, a larger shop that sells cargo from all over the world, a little shop that sells goods from the Netherlands, wooden shoes, delicious cookies. And then there's a record store and a head shop that sells bongs and roach clips. And what? You thought it was 1900, didn't you? No. You're walking through the imagination of Mr. Ira Byrne. Ira Byrne built a subdivision in Houston, Texas called Westbury. And like me, Mr. Byrne suffered from horrible hay fever, August through October. And every year during those months, he'd go to Europe. I just went to school and suffered through it. But on one of these trips, he conceived the idea of building an outdoor shopping mall that would look like a European town. And in 1962, Westbury Square was born. And people definitely, when tourists came to Houston from all over the country, they came to Westbury Square because there was really, at the time, nothing else like it. At this point in time, I don't know if there's any other place like it or not. But as you can imagine from my description, it was quaint and very beautiful. And in 1968, my family moved from an area just 5 minutes by car northwest of downtown Houston to the suburbs. And I lived, I guess, 2 long blocks from Westbury Square. So that was the area that most teenagers spent their Saturdays and spent their allowances too. But what I wanted to talk to you about is Mrs. Webster. Possibly the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Her store was called the Chemist Shop, and it originally opened in a small back room inside the candle shop. And eventually the square was expanded, and on the, what would that be, east end, there was a beautiful round court with park benches to sit down on, and a fountain in the middle, and one building, the building that I mentioned, that had cargo from all over the world. It was called Cargo Houston. And it was much like a Pier 1, except far more eclectic. Anyway, at the end of that building, since it was curved, it came into a little triangle. and hers was the shop at the end of that triangle. So imagine again opening this glass door, and immediate to your left and right are more glass windows for about 6 or 8 feet. And then after that, there are walls of shelves that are dark wood. And in the back of the shop, straight in front of you, ceiling to floor walls again, full of this was in the day before natural was popular, but all natural cosmetics from all over the world, pretty much everywhere except the USA. I cannot say for certain, but it's my understanding that Mrs. Webster was from the Basque region of France. She certainly had some sort of European accent that I can't begin to place. She was, in my recollection, now I'm going back to 1970, let's say, my first year in high school. In my recollection, tallish, that is 5'7" or 5'8". She was average build, maybe slightly on the thinner side of average. And her hair, I believe, was light brown with possibly some gray in it, and it was always in a very tight bun, very tight bun. And to any girl as enamored by cosmetics and makeup as I was, I thought I'd found heaven on earth. I bought from there off and on through the years. Westbury Square suffered and died after the big fancy shopping mall, the Galleria, was built. People just didn't come to the square anymore. They'd rather go to Gucci and Prada. And about 2 weeks ago, and I am speaking to you on March 5th of 2016, the very last building was torn down. And Westbury Square is no more. At some point, the chemist shop wisely moved out of Westbury Square and moved to another popular area in Houston called Montrose. And I believe Mrs. Webster passed away first, and Mr. Webster ran the store for some time with his son, I believe, and then it closed. I want to show you a few items that I sentimentally still have from Westbury Square. This little brown bottle is what all their oils came in, and this was probably my second bottle of patchouli oil, and it would have had a label on it. The label was beige. It had the chemist shop written at the top. The logo was a little mortar and pestle, and then it would have had patchouli handwritten. And over the years, I had patchouli, rose geranium, lemon verbena, violet, and perhaps one or two more. In the large bottles like this, would be bath oils. So, in other words, you'd pick the essential oil you wanted, and it would be added to a carrier oil. In this case, it was around Christmas time, so there was a red label, and it was oak moss, and the oak moss is, of course, long gone, and I've just continued to make my own bath oil and keep it in here because I'm sentimental about the bottle. The summer of 1973, I worked for something called the City of Houston Showmobile Project. And what it was, we'd go to various parks and perform plays. And so we had a trailer, and it would unfold, and we'd set up this stage. So I was actually doing heavy lifting and hooking stages together with C-clamps, and after about a week of that, somebody found out I'd done costumes, and took me off that and moved me to costume crew. But before they did that, I knew that I was going to need some help for my hands. So I went to see Mrs. Webster, and she directed me toward this Biocosma citrus hand cream. And at that time, this came in a little about that wide metal tube and slightly longer. And it has forever since been my holy grail nighttime hand cream. It's a little too emollient for the daytime. And there have been many periods of time where I couldn't find it and used other things, but what with the internet, I've usually been able to keep up with it for the last 10 years. Unfortunately, on the back it states that the finished product is not tested on animals, which is a nice way of saying that some of the ingredients have been. Therefore, this will be my last tube of Biocosma. I am very sorry to say. This I have saved. I probably originally had 6 of these. Melos soap. This is from Germany, and it says that it's made out of, yeah, cosmetic plant oil soap. And this is possibly the best soap I ever used on my face. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued probably years ago. And last but not least, and I don't have it here right now, it's in a small white plastic jar with the famous logo on it, and it was royal jelly from bees. And this is what Mr. Webster recommended to me the last time I saw him for dry skin, because at that point in time I had moved to Fort Worth and I was back visiting Houston, and I had gone from oily to dry complexion. And it was amazing stuff. It certainly worked. Since I ran out of it, I have tried other brands of royal jelly, and they've never been quite the same. So I don't know where they got it or what they did to it, but it was remarkable. So that's my little tour down memory lane for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Mrs. Webster was really beautiful. Now, she had very deep set eyes. Beautiful bone structure. Oh, one more thing about her. She, back in high school, my senior year in high school, the movie Cabaret came out, and it was a big thing to, be like Liza Minnelli and Divine Decadence and long green fingernails. And I wanted to try to grow my fingernails out. And her solution was that every day you take a clove of garlic and you rub it all over your nail and under your nail and around the edge of the cuticle where the cuticle meets the nail. And so I tried that, and of course I was putting off all my friends. So I went to her, I said, what do I do about that? And she said, white iodine. After you put the garlic on, you wash your hands, and then you take a cotton pad and you put white iodine. And I don't really know why it's called white because it's clear, but you can find it in any pharmacy. If they don't have it out in the pharmacy, they usually have it behind, and the pharmacist can give it to you. So anyway, I had beautiful nails in high school. I should probably try that again. So anyway, today's mask. It's by Masquerade Hydrating Facial Sheet Mask. Pre-party prep. It is supposed to brighten, prime, and energize. And Masquerade is the brand name. It's made in Korea, so I have no earthly idea whether or not this is cruelty-free. Last week's brand was not. Anyway, it says that the main thing that this is supposed to do, and I'm doing this without my glasses. Okay, this will be weird, right? Blend of argan oil, orange peel oil, superfruit extracts, rice extract, and honey to energize, brighten, and prime your face for a velvety smooth finish. And it said mainly, okay, when I take this off after 10 or 20 minutes, gently pat the moisture into my skin, and that it's supposed to, mainly it's supposed to hydrate. Oh, here we go. No parabens added, sulfate-free, mineral oil-free, artificial fragrance-free, benzophenone-free, no added pigments, vegan-friendly, eco-friendly, 100% biodegradable mask, and recyclable packet. It says nothing about cruelty-free, though, so I'm guessing, I don't know, possibly they sell in China. I don't know. At any rate, let's take it off and pat it in and see how it did. And that sat there for about 15 minutes. So that is the suitable period of time between 10 and 20. Pat, Cindy, it said pat. Okay, wow, that's nice. I feel like very soft, very hydrated, very serumed up and ready to put on my moisturizer and makeup. So that's it for this week. Please go visit my partner in crime, Cheryl Coyote. Her video will go up at the same time as mine. I will list her channel and her video below. Hope you enjoyed another walk down memory lane of something that I remember being really beautiful. Love y'all. Bye.